Kayano Lite's camera action. Good morning, YouTube. What's up, guys? I hope you're safe and healthy and happy and doing okay. That was probably the corniest intro to a video that I've ever done, so I do apologize if you sat through that. But anyway, I have some full reviews that I'm trying to chip away here, so today I have another, and that is of the Asics Kayano Lite. If you're not really sure, to give you some background on this shoe, this is supposed to be a toned down version of the stability flagship shoe that Asics has, the Kayano 27. This shoe gets rid of the Trustic system and all of these other sorts of technologies that the Kayano 27 has, and just uses the platform to keep the runner's stride stable. If you want more details about how the Kayano 27 differs to the Kayano Lite, check out this video right here. That was my first run impressions of this shoe, and I go into a lot of detail that I'm not really going to go into today. Today we're just going to focus on how this shoe worked and held up for me over the course of 50 miles. That's what we're doing today. But of course, I'm still going to make you sit through a video of me running to some music, so let's do that. Roll the tape. If you're unfamiliar with how I structure my full reviews, let me give you a rundown. First, we're going to start with the specs. Then we're going to talk about the upper, the midsole, the outsole, the pricing of the shoe, and then I'm going to give you my conclusion. And that's where I'm going to rate it out of 5 stars. So if it's the best shoe I've ever worn and I never want to take it off my foot, it's going to be 5 stars. And if it's the worst shoe I've ever worn and I never want to wear it again, it's going to be 1 star. And honestly, I haven't rated a shoe 1 star yet. So we're in good shape. Then at the end, I'll throw up a screen with the pros and the cons so you can get a visual idea of what I liked and what I disliked. And as always, before we get started today, I do want to let you guys know that this shoe was provided to me by Asics and Running Warehouse. However, neither company is going to see this video before you. They can't tell me what to say. I'm not getting paid to make it. And that's kind of that. So let's get on with the specs of the Kayano Lite. The Asics Gel Kayano Lite is 7.6 ounces for a women's size 7, but for my size, 10.5 women's, this shoe came in at about 10.2 ounces. The drop is steep. It's 13 millimeters with 25 millimeters of stack in the heel and 12 in the forefoot. But I am happy to report that the Asics Gel Kayano Lite is true to size. All right, so let's start with the upper. The Kayano Lite is rocking a sustainable engineered mesh, which basically just means that it's constructed with recyclable materials, which I think is great and more companies should be doing. Asics also does this in their Nimbus Lite. In that midfoot, we have the Asics logo acting as an overlay, and there are some other overlays there as well to just give you a good lockdown. And if we go to the back, the heel counter is extremely sturdy and keeps the ankle locked in and from moving around. In terms of breathability, I don't think this shoe is too breathable or not breathable enough. It's kind of in that middle of the road area, which I think is good for the climates that some of us are experiencing right now. When I took this shoe out last, when I was filming, I did feel some wind passing through the forefoot of the shoe. which it's cold now, but I do think in the warmer months, which we're hopefully approaching soon, we will be appreciative that we are feeling some kind of air passing through there. I find the fit of this shoe to be really snug in the midfoot area. It's not uncomfortable, but it definitely hugs me close to the platform. And then it sort of opens up in the forefoot, and I do have a nice amount of room width-wise. So if you have a wider foot, especially in that forefoot area, you are going to feel comfortable, but in the midfoot, it is a bit snug. And that's also not necessarily a bad thing, especially for a shoe that is a stability shoe. You want to have a more snug fit so that your foot's not able to slip and slide all over the platform and just become more unstable. So I do understand what Asics was trying to do there. I think for what this shoe is, which is a stability daily trainer, they did a really good job configuring this upper. It's firm and sturdy, but not abrasive. And it also appears to be durable. I mean, after 50 miles, it has barely a scratch on it. So I do think it will last a long time. So overall, I was pretty pleased with this upper. Now let's move on down to the midsole. So Asics is using a Flytefoam material for the Kayano Lite. It is the Cellulose Nanofiber version of Flytefoam, which basically again means that it is sustainable and uses some recyclable materials to create this midsole foam. And I think that that makes the midsole a bit softer than traditional Flytefoam and gives it a slight edge on energy return. And you can't see it, but there is some gel in the forefoot of the shoe just to give you a bit of a softer landing. So in comparison to the regular Kayano, the 27, this midsole is worlds better. It's softer, there's more of it, and it's a little bit more energetic and lively. It's, to me, a much better option in terms of midsole foam. But when I think about comparing different shoes midsoles, like let's say the Nimbus Lite 2, which also uses the Flytefoam with the cellulose nanofiber, this leaves a lot to be desired. This is not really the same bouncy, soft feeling ride that you get in the Nimbus Lite. And there are other stability shoes that I have tested out recently that have a slightly better feeling underfoot, like the Hurricane 23 from Saucony and the Arahi from Hoka. It's just that like once the foam compresses in the forefoot, it doesn't really get back up. So it starts to feel firmer the longer that you run, or at least that was my experience with it. Now, in my first run impressions video, I said that I didn't feel like I needed more underfoot and I felt that gel cushioning in the forefoot. And I still sort of feel that gel cushioning, and I don't necessarily desire more underfoot, but the ride is kind of dead at times. In terms of stability, however, I love what Asics is doing here. We're just using the base of the shoe to create a stable ride. And if you're interested in kind of the technology behind that, go to this video here, my first run impressions, where I go into detail about that. While I'm running, it doesn't feel intrusive on my stride. I don't feel forced a certain way. And overall, I had a pleasant experience. However, I did run 10 miles in this shoe for my friend Kate's 50K, video coming soon. And I felt fine while I was running. I had no discomfort. I had no discomfort after, like that day. But the next day, my knees were a little bit sore. Now that was the first time and the only time I've taken the Kayano Lite to a double-digit mile run. So I don't know if it was just an off day, considering I haven't run 10 miles in a little bit since like January, or if the stability of the shoe, like just a stability shoe, was a little too much on my knees for 10 miles. I have taken like the Hurricane 23 for 10 miles plus, and I had no issues with that shoe. But maybe it's just something about the way this one is constructed, or it could have just been a fluke, but I did think it was worth pointing out. Yes, I overpronate, but maybe there's something about this that just doesn't agree with me for longer double-digit distance. But I do think that this shoe's midsole is going to be very durable and runners will get a couple hundred miles out of it. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know how many miles, but Asics shoes aren't exactly known for having issues in the durability department. They're kind of bulletproof, and I think it's going to be the same case here. Asics is using their AHAR rubber for the outsole of the Kayano Lite. There is a lot of it here and it is very thick, which I think does contribute to maybe that slightly firmer ride in the forefoot. I mean, if you just look at this rubber from the side, you'll see that it extends outward quite a bit. So yeah, it's really thick and that's going to affect the ride of a shoe. I think AHAR rubber is really solid and we don't need so much of it for it to be effective. However, I do really appreciate the flex grooves in the forefoot and the traction on this shoe is very solid. AHAR rubber is great. I've taken this shoe out on plenty of drier days and some wet days on mostly pavement and the usual stuff that I run on, and I never had a problem, never felt worried about where I was stepping on the road. The Asics Gel Kayano Lite is $159.95 on runningwarehouse.com, which just makes absolutely no sense to me because the regular Kayano, the 27, is the same exact price. Why wouldn't they make this shoe, which is lighter, cheaper? It just doesn't make any sense to me. But it doesn't matter what makes sense to me because that's the price and that's what we're rocking with. So in that case, if you're interested in picking up your own pair of the Asics Gel Kayano Lite, I will link them down in the description below. Click that link and pick up your own pair. Keep in mind, this is an affiliate link with Running Warehouse. However, that doesn't mean much for you. It just helps out my channel so I can continue to keep reviewing these shoes in hopes that hopefully you can figure out what shoes work for you. I hope. When I think about the regular Kayano 27 and this shoe up against each other, I think that this one is worlds better by far. I mean, I would pick this every single time, hands down, no questions asked. But when I think about the other stability options on the market that compete with this shoe that I have recently tried, I would pick those over this every time. And that's why this score was difficult to determine, but I think that I'm comfortable giving the Asics Gel Kayano Lite 3.5 out of 5 stars. I think that's fair because this is a good shoe. This is a solid stability shoe that doesn't have all the plastic and it's not forcing your foot in any kind of way. But at the same time, I don't feel like that Flytefoam with the cellulose nanofiber did excite me quite as much as it does in other shoes from Asics that have it, and in terms of the other foams and how they felt in stability shoes that I have reviewed. But I would still recommend this to somebody who wants a lighter weight stability shoe, doesn't want all of that plastic and that nonsense and technology, this and that, just wants a stability shoe that's gonna work. That's exactly what this is, and especially I would recommend it to somebody who is coming from the Kayano 27. I mean, I would just tell them forget the 27 and just get the Lite. Somebody who is a stability runner, beginner, elite, whatever the case, this is a very good choice. All right, now let's throw up the screen with the pros and the cons. For pros, I have the upper material, the wider base of the shoe, the stability tech and how they didn't have to use plastic in order to make the shoe stable, and the overall durability. For cons, I have that the midsole lacks excitement, the outsole rubber is a bit harsh, the price of the shoe, the fact that I got some knee pain, which was concerning and a little bit strange, and that I don't think this shoe is very versatile. So that's where I stand with the Kayano Lite. Will I keep it in my rotation? Possibly for different kinds of runs, but I don't think I'll be taking it upwards of 10 miles anytime soon. I like what they did here. I understand what they're trying to do, but I do think there is room for improvement. So I'm very interested to see how the next version of the Kayano Lite feels. Well guys, that concludes my full review of the Asics Kayano Lite. If you enjoyed this video, please like it down below and subscribe. And when you're done with all that, hit that notifications bell down below so you can find out every time I upload a new video. This colorway oddly did grow on me though. I have another video for you guys on Sunday, but in the meantime, get out there, get on the grind, and don't forget to run like heller. See you next time. Doing? Sitting in the sun? Going to sleep? All right.